Good morning, and we are live. It is good to be back. It is good to be back. Let's dig right into it. Man, it is good to be back with you folks. I missed you folks a lot. A lot. I wish I could tell you we had a great vacation, but we did not. It was horrible. It was horrible. One of the worst vacations we've ever had in our life. It was terrible. Um, poor Mrs. Texas Paul. A couple of days we would take a last minute cruise just to get some time off because I was getting to where I was just I I was wanting to punch people, and that's never a good thing. That's never a good thing. So we decided to take a last minute cruise. Um, Poor Mrs. Texas Paul, a couple days in, just got so sick. Oh my God. So we spent days and days and days, no beaches, no Mayan ruins, none of the stuff that we planned, nothing like that. Just days and days and days in this little cabin, um, which, normally I'll tell you, don't worry about the size of your cruise cabin. Don't spend money on a cruise cabin. Don't, because you're not going to be in your cabin. You're going to be out and about. Oh, good Lord. After 4 days stuck together in that little bitty cabin the size of a prison cell, we were like two cats that had been. We were like Gangsta Kitty and Dolly had been thrown in a box and taped up and kicked down the side of a mountain and landed in a freaking horrible Ted Nugent concert or something. We were so freaking irritated by the end of that trip. It was terrible. It was terrible. She got to feeling bad, so of course we give a damn. We do. We're just not people that say screw everybody else, and so we sequestered ourselves to our cabin. It was rough, man. It was really rough. And then as we're leaving, I don't know how many of you have taken cruises, but it's a ports are not like airports. Ports are not like airports. When you get your bags at the end of a cruise, man, they've just taken the bags and they issue you a section number, and you go out and your bags are in the section somewhere. There's just rows and rows and rows and rows of bags. And Mrs. Texas Paul, we'd hunted up most of our bags, and I was loading them on the cart with the porter, and we were missing one bag, and she went and spotted it a couple of rows over, and as she went to walk around, she tripped over a bag. Boom, hit the pavement hard, concrete hard, just tore her knee up. Oh my God. I mean, I knew she was in bad shape because she didn't just spring right back up. She was down. We finally got her back up, and of course she's embarrassed. So she's hurting and laughing about it, and because she's just embarrassed about it. But she was in pretty bad shape. So she limps out of there, and we're driving home, and we're a good ways away from the port. We're several hours in the car, and every hour, man, her knee is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So we stopped in an emergency room on the way home to get it scanned because she couldn't walk on it. By the time we got back to the car, she just couldn't even walk on it anymore. So I was worried she had a fracture or something. We stopped in the first emergency room we stop in. Apparently they give the technicians Saturdays off the X-ray technician's Saturdays off, so we ended up having to go to another emergency room. But thank God she didn't break anything. It's going to be she's got some sort of soft tissue injuries because she's still hopping around on one leg today. She's in bad shape, man. She really is. So much love to Mrs. Texas Paul. But yeah, that was a horrible I mean, horrible vacation. I am so glad to be back home with you folks. I really am. Oh my God. I missed y'all like you wouldn't believe. Oh my God. But it was, yeah, it was bad. But not as bad as this. Not as bad as this. Nice place, huh? This is a nice place. I love New York City. I do. I'm gonna tell you, I don't understand the hate on the place. I really don't, especially from Southerners. New York City. No, I love New York City. It is a hell of a. I mean, it's a cool town. San Francisco, love it. I love big cities. I do. It's just, it's so different from where I'm at. Because I'm out in the sticks, man. I live in a forest, nothing but trees around me. So when I get into a city and I see, places like this, I think it's cool as hell. I do. And I love people too. So, yeah. I mean, that's a pretty nice looking place, right? This place right here in the center of the screen, this portion of this brownstone right here in Soho. Um, Damn nice place, 38 Prince Street. This is from the inside. I got a little bit nosy about it. So I looked it up, and stick with me. There's a reason we're looking at this. But I went to realtor.com and took a look at this place. Nice place. Last time it sold for 21 million back in 2018. And $21 million gets you a fully renovated and updated place. I mean, it's pretty nice, huh? I mean, beautiful. Beautiful. Person that bought it apparently rents it out. Hold on, let me refresh that. See if I can get all the pictures. You deserve to see them all. There's it's a nice place. It really is. Beautiful, huh? I mean, they just did a really good job on this place. This is just, completely modernized. According to police reports, um, they like I say that they renovated it, and according to the police reports, it was rented by crypto bro, um, and they turned it into like a crypto bro central, and they put in stripper poles in the basement, and the police found cases of Cristal champagne, and yada yada yada. And they're probably wondering what the heck, man? What is this all about? This crazy nonsense. I mean, you think I had a bad trip? This is a bad trip. A crypto investor is charged with kidnapping and torturing a man in a New York City apartment for weeks. For weeks. Yeah. This is John Wolfie. 1 second. Let me pull you. This is John Woltz. As he's being arrested. Yeah. This guy and his assistant was also arrested and released. We're not sure if she's going to be prosecuted or not, but yeah. There was and I'm not going to give you the victim's name because there's some pretty embarrassing things that happen. He's a crypto bro also. Woltz is worth about $100 million. And this other crypto bro this is why I don't get involved with crypto, folks. I don't. It's always shady as shit. This crypto bro from Italy tells his family, I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to learn a little English, yada, yada, yada. Ends up hanging out in this place. Waltz decides, I'm going to take all your shit. They zip tie the guy. The police apparently found a chicken wire confinement area. They zip tied the guy, tortured him for almost 3 weeks so that to get him to give up access to his crypto wallet. They were dumb enough to take pictures while they were doing it. They put his feet in water and electrocuted him. They threatened him with a chainsaw. They cut his arm and his leg with a chainsaw. Not off, they just cut it. Threatening him. They pistol whipped him. They threatened his family. They just tortured him for weeks. They held him down and forced him to smoke crack, and then took pictures of him with the crack pipe in his mouth, and then had T-shirts made of that picture. They had him that long. They went and had T-shirts printed with that image of him with the crack pipe in his mouth. Apparently, they think maybe to extort him later or something. I don't know. But anyways, after 3 weeks, the guy finally cracks and tells the guy, yeah, bring your laptop over here. I'll go ahead and I'll give you access to my crypto wallet. Well, when Waltz turns around to go get his laptop, this guy sees his opportunity and bolts. Gets all the way down to the street, starts taking off down the street, runs smack dab into a NYPD traffic cop, and the rest is history. This is going to be a made-for-TV movie. This is going to be a movie before it's over. It is. You've got Kentucky crypto bro. He's got like $1 million place, like 160-acre place in Kentucky. Rents super luxury upscale Soho brownstone. Turns it into a torture dungeon where he's robbing other crypto bros. Stay tuned. Sounds like there's more to this, because people don't just, on your first trip out, I don't think you really, have that much planning into it, where you've got like chicken wire and crazy. This is why I don't get involved in craziness. I don't get involved in crypto. You can't do that to somebody who's, I don't know, investing in bear bonds. That shit is traceable. I don't do untraceable investments because it leaves you exposed to this kind of insanity. And this dude just looks like a sociopath. He's smiling when they take him into custody. It's just insane. Insane. But yeah, my trip was better than his, I guess, bright side, right? God damn. I mean, Jesus. Oh. But yeah, we're here to talk about some politics. Giant, I told you so. Giant, I told you so. This has been, people have been shocked by this. They have been just absolutely taken back. The Broligarchs have always been behind the scenes manipulating. They've always been behind the scenes manipulating, paying off politicians. That's always happened. People are having a hard time wrapping their heads around, yeah, they're just doing it out in the open now. They're not hiding anymore. ET, my man, good to see you. That kind of stuff is what the Grey's Anatomy is all about. Shady stuff, if it's not out front. Yeah, I'm telling you, I hear what you're saying, man. I hear what you're saying. Um, but yeah, it's just it's craziness. Crypto is new age mafia run casino. Yeah, no kidding. I don't trust it at all. I don't trust it at all. But yeah, folks have kind of been taken aback, kind of put back on their heels because the Broligarchs have, they've stopped wanting to hide in the shadows and they've just engaged in an overt takeover of government. They're not even hiding it anymore. I mean, it's everything they do. The House just passed this sickening, insane tax bill. There used to be third rails. They called them, the third rails because, the old thing, you never touch the third rail in the subway because you get electrocuted. They called them the third rails because there were things that politicians could never, ever do and recover from. One of the things was touching Medicare. That was a no-no because old folks vote. We have hit a time where the Broligarchs are no longer afraid. They aren't. They just went straight after Medicare. Now, the corporate media is reporting it as, oh, Medicaid cuts and yada, yada, yada. What they're not doing is explaining why this bill absolutely 100% is a $500 billion slash and grab of Medicare, not Medicaid. Medicare. Let me explain. Back in 2023, the Republicans were really, 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 really proud of this. The Fiscal Responsibility Act. That was one of the knockdown, drag out debt ceiling fights that we had with the Republicans. And I've told you this before. And they were really proud of this, man. I mean, they were just ballyhooing about this. They were like, oh man, we done something here. And we Democrats kept warning you, this is horrible. This is horrible. We can't let this stand. The Republicans want to slash your Medicare. They want to slash everything, all of your services, and it fell on deaf ears. November election rolls around, and here we are. Let me explain. The House just passed this tax bill, and because of the this sequestration nonsense that was in that bill, this tax bill triggers automatic cuts to Medicare. Now they're pretending like it doesn't because it's not specifically written into the bill. But it does. It absolutely does. Because of the Fiscal Responsibility Act. The way the Fiscal Responsibility Act is written, once they create so much debt without exactly pay. I love you people so much. I love you so much, man. I love spending time with you people. Exactly, Helen. Pay go. Exactly. Pay as you go is what they call it. Once they accrue a certain amount of debt, it has a trigger that causes the spending to stop. So they don't have to write a bill that says, we're taking all of your Medicare funding. And I know the internet's a little grainy. I'm sorry, but yeah, we're doing the best we can with Texas infrastructure. I'm sorry. We do have a new system coming. We do. It'll be sometime in the next few days, though. We'll be out here to install it. We're going full high tech, and this is the last few days of the grainy internet service. It's over. We have finally moved into the modern age, and I apologize. But yes, I am on the right internet connection, and this is the best we've got today. That's why we were late, as I was going through all the redundant systems, and I do apologize. Colleen Sarah, Nebraska Rep Don Bacon destroyed everything good he had. Said before when he voted for the bill, there's a protest against him today. Good, because we're going to talk about that bill and what an overt, no longer hiding in the shadows, Broligarchs are coming for you. This is a class war bill. This is it's not just what we're talking about with Medicare. It's not. And the Republicans did this. This is the central message I need you to understand. They did this, and they did this on purpose. And I just want to re-clarify so that we're completely clear. They passed a bill that said once we receive, add so much debt, we have a pay-as-you-go trigger that stops all funding for certain programs, Medicare being one of them. It's called sequestration. They put that bill in place. Then they wrote this tax bill in such a way that it intentionally triggers that sequestration. So they didn't write a bill that says, oh, by the way, we're touching the third rail, old folks, and taking your Medicare. They just wrote a bill that made it happen automatically. A series of bills, actually. And this is why it's so important that we talk about this and that you have this information and you share this information. This is the important part, okay? You need to get ahead of this because this isn't a fight the Republicans are setting up today. No, this is a fight they're setting up for the midterm. And this is what they're going to do. They're going to pass this bill. And people are like, well, the Senate will never pass it. No, the Senate is going to pass a form of this. They're going to tweak some of it. And if we can get the word out loud enough and fast enough that this attacks Medicare, they may actually do something about this portion of it. But they don't want to. They want to pass this bill with this trigger. This is what Republicans want because they want to set this fight up for the midterms. And this is the fight they're trying to frame. They passed the bill. Because it's a pay-go bill, it doesn't trigger immediately. Spending has to happen. That'll take a little time, but we will hit that trigger. And we will hit that trigger before the midterms. So about 8 to 9 months before the midterms, in the middle of election season, the Republicans will come up with a bill, produce a bill that says, oh, we have to save Medicare. We're going to save Medicare. Now, they're the ones that took Medicare and shoved its head underwater and are drowning it. But they're not going to own that. No, they're not. They want this to sneak through. This is why they passed it in the dead of night, in the middle of the night. Then they want to claim to be saving Medicare because we're going to cut other programs. Now, here's the thing. Do they really want to save Medicare? No. They've been wanting to slash Medicare forever. They hate Medicare. They go back and tell their donors, their rich donors all the time. We've got them on tape. You've got Mike Lee talking about cutting Social Security. You've got, all the things that they claim they don't want to do. They go back and tell their Johnny Got Rocks donors, we're absolutely going to do this. And we keep warning you. So no, they don't really want to save Medicare. And there isn't the cuts that they can make in the budget to stop this sequestration. But they're going to frame it as that's what they're doing. They're trying to save Medicare. And what are they going to do? They're going to go through the budget and they're going to find a little program somewhere. Somebody took a little pork home and they got some funding for a community center in, I don't know, pick a city, Cleveland. A community center in Cleveland got some federal funding to create a safe space for the LGBTQ plus community. Or it'll be something to do with transgender rights, or it'll be something to do that triggers the bigotry. They'll come up with some minuscule funding somewhere that will not stop the trigger from taking place, but they will say it will. And they will say that it's funding going to just, you can imagine, it's going to be illegal immigrant, transgender, gay people in schools. All the buzzword. And they'll find a bill somewhere that has a little bit of funding in it for, like I said, it'll be something like some community center somewhere or something, or some reading program or something somewhere that they can tie to some bigotry somewhere, and they will frame it as the Democrats won't let us save Medicare because they want to protect the gays. Grandma's going to lose her Medicare because the Democrats don't want to cut funding for immigrants, or funding for gay people, or funding for trans. It'll be something tied to their bigotry. Now, in reality, there won't be enough funding there anywhere. And that's what the Democrats will be saying. This is stupid. This doesn't do it. We're not going to save Medicare. They're trying to cut Medicare. And the Republicans will say, we want to save grandma's Medicare, even though they're the ones that wrote the trigger bill. They're the ones that wrote the budget that triggers the trigger bill. They're the ones that caused all of the cuts to Medicare. But they didn't write it down now, mind you. They didn't write it down. They didn't say, we're going to cut grandma's Medicare in this bill. No, they're just letting it all happen in stages in the way they set the dominoes up to happen. And we Democrats are going to fight it because the cuts they're going to promote are going to be cruel and nonsensical and not be anywhere fiscally close enough to save Medicare from this. We're going to want to end the triggers like we've been trying to do. But here's where it's going to get special. Now, you can see the way it's framed. I'm going to just run over it one more time. Rich Lawton, good to see you, my friend. Missed you guys. Repugs are nothing but distraction theater to hide the real bigoted agendas. Exactly. Linda Orndorff, between this bill and the deportations, we could say goodbye to Social Security and Medicare. They paid $194.5 billion to Social Security and $53.6 billion to Medicare in 2022. Yeah, I mean, they're doing they hate these programs. They want to kill these programs. So let's start at the beginning with the dots real quick. I won't beat this to death. They passed a bill with sequestration triggers in it. Then they passed a bill to trigger said bill, which guts Medicare, which they've always wanted to do. Then, come election time, when this starts to happen, they're going to pretend, and the corporate media is going to help them do this. They're going to pretend we're saving Medicare for grandma. It's just the Democrats care more about transgender gay immigrants than they do grandma. Or whatever bill they come up with, whatever little bit of funding somewhere. In reality, they won't be trying to save Medicare because they want to kill it. So there won't be enough anything to cut to stop this from happening. Why? Because the Broligarchs are getting another $3.8 trillion in tax cuts in this bill. And this is what the Republicans want to talk about instead of who really stole everybody's cookies? Who really, really is the bad guy here? Which is the Broligarchs. The Broligarchs want that program to die. They don't want to pay for it. They've been against that program since it was created. The Broligarch class has hated everything the government has done to create the middle class. They always have. Vincent Day, nice to have you back. I was going through withdrawal. I'm glad to be here, man. I really am. I cannot tell you how much I've missed you folks. I missed you folks. Exactly. Exactly. And they will go out and they will get in our pocket with government contracts. But it gets even better. Not just that. Now, y'all followed that clearly, right? That's what they're going to do with the Medicare portion of it. That's what they're setting up for the next election. But it's so obvious because all the tax cut provisions expire right when Trump leaves office. Now, I want you to think about that political environment. If you are a Broligarch, you're going to lose all your gimmies right at 2028. They're setting up the Medicare thing for the midterms. Now, for 2028, all of these tax giveaway gimmies expire. So who does that guarantee that the Broligarchs have to fund in the 2028 election? If all your tax gimmies are going to expire and the Democrats are going to try to save Medicare and grandma's Medicaid, because remember, this bill slashes Medicaid. And who's the number one recipient for Medicaid? It's not poor folks or immigrants, it's grandma. Every old folks home out there gets Medicaid funding. Look, folks, let's just be brutally honest about this. The average American can't afford a $600 emergency. Half of America has no preparation whatsoever for their old age. What pays for it? Medicaid. Medicaid does. Medicaid pays for all these rural old folks homes that are out there taking care of these people. And now that funding's been slashed already. They did that openly. And they're saying that it's fraud. They're saying that it's not fraud, it's grandma. It's grandma. Our hands. Why build concentration camps when you can cut services to the most vulnerable? All of MAGA is complicit. Well, they're doing that too. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So now you following me, the political landscape here? Midterms, they're setting up the Medicare fight, where they think they're going to portray themselves as the heroes that are saving Medicare and try to frame the Democrats as we just care about, whoever the bigots hate that day. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. And of course, we're going to have our own circular firing squads because whatever community they're attacking are going to attack the Democrats because they just let this happen, apparently, which is bullshit. We're going to have our own circular firing squads. Do you see what I'm fighting here? Why I'm so harsh on these circular firing squads? I mean, are you getting the political vision to see that the Republicans are very good at setting these fights up? They understand Cletus is not sophisticated. Just give him somebody to hate and tell him he's better than them, and he will hate them and let you do damn near anything and believe anything you tell him. Sundial Jim had to destroy the Medicare village to save it. Yeah, no kidding, right? No kidding. That'll be one of the mud. They'll fill the space with mud. They'll claim that 150-year-olds, just like they tried to do with Social Security, they'll claim that 150-year-olds are getting Medicare, and it's all fraud. It's immigrant doctors committing Medicare fraud that's killing grandma's Medicare, and the Democrats just love the immigrant doctors so much more than your grandma. Can you hear the messaging? That's what's coming. Democrats are fighting, and I am proud they're going after this bill and Trump's economy. Yeah, they are. But man, there is a niche on social media, clickbait bastards that are lazy and stupid and won't do what I do, which is tell people, inform people, show them the big picture. They just want clicks so bad. Let me build my little community by telling you Democrats are bad. Democrats are bad. Click, 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 click. No, you dumbass. Republicans have virtually unlimited funding to set this bullshit up. People are like, Paul, do you think they're going to let us vote in the midterms? Oh, yeah, they are, but they're going to do this. And we, for the first time ever, have to march in unison. People are like, Paul, what are we going to do? And the answer is elect Democrats in such overwhelming numbers that we can hold hearings without permission. Use democracy to your own advantage. I'm a home care worker, Linda Orndorff, one of our regulars here. This is why I say it's so important. You know, you people, you are literally the best source of information because you are living this stuff that I'm talking about. Linda Orndorff says, I am a home care worker here in Pennsylvania. I am paid through Medicaid. The cuts are going to force a lot of people into homes we were already in crisis. Worse, Linda, a lot of these homes can't survive. Sure, a lot of these homes, they charge out the wazoo for people that have prepared for it, but their budgets will not handle the Medicaid cuts that the poorest among us provide to these homes. You're going to see a lot of these. Then what? Then what? It is so much worse. Because where do these old folks go? You can't afford home care. Grandma's old folks home is closed down. The Republicans have a crop of young mask-wearing, khaki marching bigots that are really upset about a gay and transgender person they've never met in their entire lives. Stop coddling stupid. Wait till they find out the middle class is the only thing between them and the angry poor folks. I'm telling you. Amy Manuel, Democrats need to fall in line for once. Yeah, we do. We do. We really do. We really do. And it gets worse, man. It gets worse. It's not just this political stuff. They stuck a poison pill in this tax bill that gives that guts the court's ability to act against the government. There's a line here. Let me read it to you. It says, no court of the United States may use appropriated funds. That means funds, the courts are their own independent branch. The judiciary is its own independent branch, but it is funded through Congress. So Congress can make the rules about the funds. They can't tell them how to act, but they can tell them whether they can have money to keep the lights on. So here's the provision. No court of the United States may use appropriated funds to enforce a contempt citation, which means you can't pay a cop to go enforce this. You can't arrest anybody. A contempt citation for failure to comply with an injunction or temporary restraining order. And here's the kicker here. If no security was given when the injunction or order was issued pursuant to Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 65, yada, 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 whether issued prior to or on, you're getting the idea, right? They put this poison pill in there. When they issue an injunction, the judge can order a security. Like say a company's polluting or whatever. The judge issues an injunction and says, you have to stop doing that. Typically, 99% of the times, the order is enough because people tend to not buck judges because that gets really expensive later. You get contempt charges filed against you. You can go to jail for that. Just do not pass go. Just you go to jail for contempt. Fines start racking up. So judges typically have not ordered a security or a bond, basically, is what it is, to be paid in advance. This poison pill says, you know what, if you have issued one of these orders without a security, you can't spend any money. You can't turn the lights on in your courtroom. You can't pay for the jail space. You can't get nothing. Why? Why word it that way? Because it makes the issue about the security and funding. It doesn't stop judges going forward from doing anything. But what does it do about everything that the Trump administration, because remember, I told you, the 2025 project was about running out the clock. It was about time. They knew all of these fights would take time. That's what this is about. Because every one of the rulings against the Trump administration, they don't have securities. They never ordered the Trump administration to pay a security. You don't do that with the government. The government is supposed to just comply with itself. So they take all of those injunctions, all of the fights in courts just get wiped right off the table. And everybody has to start over. And it's not unconstitutional because they're not telling the judiciary you can't start over. They're not telling the judiciary you can't issue injunctions because that's not the point. They want these Republican judges to be able to attack Democrat administrations using these same rules. They don't want to eliminate the rule. They want their power for their judges when they want to sue. But this starts the clock over. And what does that do? The 2025 project was designed to make you feel helpless, designed to make you feel as though the Democrats are weak. They're not doing anything. This goes a long way to do that because you could already hear the social media stuff. Warren Benson, hey man, good to see you here, my friend. I'm glad to see a new supporter. Thank you for being here. This big ugly bill will hurt local hospitals and urgent care facilities. This will kill people in suburbs and rural areas. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Well said. Well said, sir. Laura Yates, the judicial system, the Constitution is getting chopped up with this administration. This has been the first really, and I'm not saying that's a good thing, but politically smart and savvy way of doing this. Linda, Andrea Ordonez, thank you for always being here, Andrea. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. This is similar to Germany's Enabling Act, granting absolute power. Mainstream media isn't covering this. Contact your senators. This isn't a drill. If it passes, America will never be the same. Yeah, the corporate media is not touching this at all. They're not explaining this at all. They're treating everybody like they're freaking stupid when this is a direct gimme to the Trump administration, written specifically so that it doesn't cross that constitutional line where you've got Congress telling the judiciary what it can and cannot do. They're simply saying, if you didn't get a security, we don't have to fund it. You should fund this yourself through the securities. That's a whole different argument that Congress is actually allowed to make. Spatial Dragon, Texas Paul, better or work, future president. No. I love better or work. I do. Great guy. Really great guy. No. Phantom Pup, thank you for being here, my friend. I appreciate you. We'll talk about, I'm going to say some things that are going to piss a lot of people off when we're talking about the next presidential candidate, but we're not there yet. We're going to get there. Thank you, honey. You don't have to do that. I know you're hurting. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, honey. My beautiful wife is limping along, went and got me a cup of coffee. Can you believe that? Is in much pain as she's in. Hello there. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate you. All the new supporters, I'm really grateful. How will we be able to get COVID boosters if the FDA is now limiting their production? You will not. You will not. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. But yeah, so yeah, you've got the Medicare fight set up in the midterms. You've got the goodies expiring in 2028 to ensure a windfall of billionaire Broligarch funding. You know, the Bezos people and for whoever the next moron is for the Republicans, they're going to be rolling in cash because they set this bill up that way. They also extended salt deduction. And no, I don't mean table salt. I don't mean table salt. I mean state and local tax deductions. That is a straight gimme to rich folks. You don't itemize you don't do that. The average person doesn't do that. They don't get salt deductions. You've got to be really freaking rich and itemizing out to get state and local tax deductions. Jordan, thanks for being here. Let's get through 2026 before we worry about 2028. Yeah, but they're worrying about it. They're setting up. It doesn't hurt to know. We have to lockstep into 2026. We have to overwhelm all of the circular firing squad. Hate on them. The minute it happens, make it to where it's not worth it for them. When they come into social media and say, oh, but the Democrats, shut them down immediately. Jane Walker, thanks for supporting. Thanks for the support. State and local taxes. The salt deduction. What's that all about? Okay, yes, it's a gimme. It is. It's a gimme to the Broligarchs. It's another tax deduction that's going to add on to the deficit. And again, just to be clear, a salt deduction, state and local tax is what it's salt, is just the way for rich people to get out of paying taxes. You know, the federal government doesn't do the same thing that your local government does. Your local government is very focused on, you know, fixing potholes and police forces and yada, yada, yada. It's two different things, completely different things. But Johnny Got Rocks has set the system up so they say, oh, no, we already paid taxes over here for our potholes. We're not going to give you taxes for your federal, you know, everything the federal government does on meat inspections and environmental protection and everything that the government does that is really big to deal with corporations and Johnny Got Rocks. They're going to take this funding away from them. Everything is about the Broligarchs. Everything in this bill is about the Broligarchs. They threw in a provision that says no tax on tips. Do any of you that work off tips, and that doesn't include me. I don't qualify. I don't qualify. They have to be cash tips. Do any of you that get cash tips report them? No, you don't. No, you don't. You've never paid taxes on those because you've never reported them. So you got nothing. You got nothing in that provision. Neuropilot. Fed courts can deny Trump administration access, though. It's not over. It's just we have to start over, which feeds into that whole death loop that is part of the 2025 project, which is to make you feel as though the Democrats aren't fighting. That's why, the clickbait farms before the election, we did show after show about clickbait farms, not real people. It's one little Chinese girl with 10,000 freaking iPhones pumping out messages on accounts. 10,000 iPhones wired into a server that sends out messages to all these bogus freaking accounts. They didn't go away. They didn't go away. They're still operating, but where they're operating is Democrats are bad. I can't believe, look at this message from Hakeem Jeffries, and Hakeem Jeffries is out there fighting his ass off. But look at that. He just didn't do enough. Yeah, the clickbait farms are still there. They're just doing the bidding of the 2025 project, which is to make you feel overwhelmed, like there's nowhere to go. And why? Why do that? Because if you're pissed and angry and think you got an option, you're going to act. You're going to vote. People don't vote to say thank you. People vote to say fuck you. But if you feel like there's nothing I can do, my vote is useless. It's all rigged. It's all rigged. It's just no point in showing up. A bunch of you aren't going to show up. That's the point. That's the point. Jenny Benavides, no taxation without representation. Amen. Amen. Where's that 12 trillion Trump said his treasury collected? Yeah, that didn't happen. That's another thing that's all over social media. They're just pumping. They're filling the space with massive amounts of misinformation. And old Texas Paul is laying out to you exactly what they're about to do and what the fights are going to be so that we could be ahead of it, so that we can be swinging ahead of time. When the feds are wanting to put things onto the states, they are then trying to limit the states from taking up the slack via taxes on those rich. Yeah. But it's even worse than that. It's even worse than that. Let me introduce you to Starbase, Texas. Yeah, that's a real city here now. They finally got enough employees living in employee housing down in their compound that they could use Texas law, and Republicans are more than happy to help them and pass laws to facilitate this kind of thing, that they incorporated into their own town. Why? Well, there was a town. It's called Boca Chica. It's one of the little hidden gems down here. Oh, yeah, it's the company store and more. Yeah, I love you people, Miss Pam. I love you people. I really do. It's the company store and more. Wait for it. You're going to love this. Amy Manuel, thanks for always being here, Amy. Payroll tax come out of the $2.13 an hour, so that wait staff sometimes get checks for zero after a 30 to 40-hour week. Yeah. I'm not blaming them for not reporting the tips. I'm just saying this bill didn't do shit for them. There was a little town called Boca Chica. Boca Chica, it was a sleepy little place that didn't want anybody to know they were there. It's down by the Mexican border. And if you know Texas, you know, yeah, we got beaches, but it's not like the Caribbean. It's not. See, there's this thing that happens. The Mississippi River comes out. Everything to the east of the Mississippi, because of the currents, it's pretty blue water. Everything to the west of the Mississippi, aka Texas beaches, are gray, ugly beaches. The water is a green-gray color. Everybody I know that's moved here from like Hawaii or any place that has pretty beaches, they're like, what is wrong with your ocean, man? What went wrong here? Because it is not pretty. Okay. Texas beaches are not pretty. But if you get far enough south, they start to get pretty again. And where they start to get pretty, down around Boca Chica. Yeah, down around Mexico. Boca Chica is just north of the Mexican border, and that's where they built Starbase. That's where Elon built his company down. Well, Boca Chica gets a little pissed off because Elon Musk rolled in and he's closing their highway when they have a launch, and they're doing all kinds of shit that the folks in Boca Chica don't like. So Elon Musk just stuck the middle finger up and said, okay, fine, we're going to be our own town, and you can't tell us what to do. And this is where he got the idea. Back during COVID, back when Trump was president, there were shutdowns because the smart people said, look, millions of people are going to die. If we don't move heaven and earth, millions of people are going to die. We can't do the herd immunity thing. We can't. We are an aging population. They did the math, folks. It's just math. They looked at the severity of symptoms, the age of the population, and they calculated out what the effects were going to be. And from there, they said, okay, this is what we got to do. We got to close schools down. We got to close businesses down. We got to get people vaccinated, and then enter the Republicans who didn't want to do that. They're just like, fuck it, let them die. Of course, they didn't say that. They said, freedom! You can't tell us we got to be vaccinated. Freedom! And all the stupid shit. But it was really Johnny Got Rocks didn't want his business to shut down. That's all it was. Again, it was the Broligarchs coming at you. And Fremont, California told Elon Musk, you got to shut your factory down. Everything is shutting down. You got to shut down. And Elon Musk said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. You want to keep your job, you better show your ass up to work. And there's been issue after issue after issue. You know, and it's the local governments. They bought the state governments. They did. The state fines, you know, there was some polluting in the Colorado River. And one of the pretty bad stuff that's going on. One of the fines was like $11,000. Nothing. Just nothing. The states are bought. The Texas state government is useless, utterly useless when it comes to protecting us Texans. So the local governments have been saying, you know, look, no, you can't do this. So by incorporating and creating their own local government, they've created the situation where now if Boca Chica wants to do something, they can't just get together and operate within their own framework and say, okay, we're going to just pass an ordinance that says you can't close that highway. No. Boca Chica now has to sue Starbase. the city of Starbase. How well do you think that's going to work out in a Republican dominated bullshit, no character, no morals, Republican judiciary here in the state of Texas? Bunch of old bigoted white men just taking their money. How expensive do you think that is? It will end up needing to go into the federal system, being appealed into the federal system. It will end up having to go to the freaking Supreme Court. Do you think Boca Chica's got Supreme Court money? No, they're going to get plowed under. And it's not just down in Boca Chica where they founded Starbase. They're doing it in Austin too. There you go. Let me, I didn't have a tab. Forgive me. I didn't have I didn't have a Snailbrook pulled up. This is Snailbrook. Another little town. See, Bastrop's never gotten any respect. It hasn't. It's always been the redheaded stepchild, the dumb brother around Austin. It's just not a well-funded, well-liked place. It's right outside Austin. Well, they incorporated a little town in Bastrop called Snailbrook, and they're moving their headquarters there because there's no local government to fight them. And it gets worse, folks. It gets worse than just the controlling all regulation and making it incredibly expensive for other towns to step up. It gets even worse because I want you to imagine this, okay? First, you've got to understand. You know how they just pause for a second? You know how they're always, the right wingers like, Trump's not taking his salary. He's not taking his salary. He loves America. But we're spending like $300 million to fly him around to golf. That's what rich people do. Look, you negotiate a salary. Kurt Aiken, this is the beginning of the network state. The network state. It is the Broligarchs Manhattan Project. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well said, sir. Okay. If you're you, right? So you go to a job and you take a salary, right? And then from that salary, you pay your expenses. That's what you're used to. That's what you understand. Rich people don't do that. They don't. They start a corporation. No matter how small the business is, they incorporate. Then they handle all of their services through the business. Now you go buy a car, right? Well, that car's not tax deductible. That's not considered an expense for you. You don't itemize that way. You get a set deduction because you go through and you fill out your tax form. That's not how Johnny Gotwax works. See, he doesn't own his car. He hires a car service. So when, say, Elon Musk flies in on his jet, which he also doesn't own, his company leases it. It's an expense. It's a business expense for him. Now, he's just living his life just like you. But no, for him, everything is business. His freaking hair plugs. You know, Elon Musk was bald. I can show you pictures of him when he's young. Huge bald spot on the top of his head. Now he's got hair all the way down to his forehead. Since he's the face of the company, that would be tax deductible. You want hair plugs or a boob job or whatever, You just take your salary that you've already paid taxes on, and what's left, you go buy that. Not the way it works for Johnny Got Rocks. Thank you, Paulette. New supporter. Thank you. Coming out with the big gun blazing. $50 is a lot of money. I really appreciate you. Stick with me here. I'm going somewhere with this, okay? So Elon Musk gets in his jet he doesn't own that is a business expense, and it flies him around. So he doesn't need a salary to pay for that. It's taken care of. The food he eats, he's got a government credit card, or pardon me, a business credit card. It's a business dinner. If you're talking to Elon Musk, he's thinking about business. If he's talking to you, even you're his buddy, he's talking about business with you. So every bit of his food. What does he need a salary for? Right? Very little. When he gets to the airport, the car that picks him up is a luxury vehicle, but he doesn't own it. It's a subscription car service that drives him wherever he wants to go. That is a business expense. So he pays no taxes on any of that money. And he doesn't have to have an income to make it all happen. Do you understand? They're living the highest of lives with no income. Joe Emily, miss you so much. Texas Paul, keep the democracy going. Life keeps going on. Hey, man, I'm just glad we can do this together. I am so blessed that y'all let me do this for a living. I am so blessed that y'all let me do this for a living. Life keeps going and can't always be here is what she's trying to say. Joe, well, I'm glad when you are here. I am glad when you are here. So now figure the few things that he does need money for that his business isn't taking care of. How does Johnny Got Rocks get that money? Well, he does what Elon Musk does. He goes to a bank and he gets a loan. He doesn't pay himself a salary. He gets a loan against his stock. And the loan is super low interest because he's Johnny Got Rocks, right? It's almost a free loan. Very little interest. But think about it. If he paid himself a salary, he would have had to pay taxes. The interest that he pays on that loan is far, far less than what he would have had to pay in taxes. It's basically free money. And we've already established he needs very little income. So he's paying and that loan is not considered an asset. So the company doesn't pay taxes on it. In fact, it's just the opposite. It's considered a liability. Are you following me here? And now he's getting a nice little tax credit for state and local taxes. Everything is about putting all of the burden on you. The tariffs. Elon Musk isn't going to pay that tariff. His company isn't going to eat that tariff. You are, if you buy his product. So all of that burden that they've been taking and shifting off of themselves, they put on you all the time. That's the whole point of all of this. Thanks, Helen. I appreciate you. I really do. Stop Coddling Stupid says they need a reminder that the let them eat cake is a failed policy position. Exactly where we're going with this. Hold on. I need another drink. Hold on. Oh, I hope that's a bad joke. Somebody check out her comments. So here we are. Johnny Got Rocks got a tax bill. $3.8 trillion in taxes. Deduction in the SALT taxes. Setting up their own cities now. They are literally, they've gone from the government's bad to I am the government. And get this. We'll stick with the Elon Musk example. He needs water to run his factory. Oh, man. We'll say Starbase, the city of Starbase. He needs water to launch his rockets. Huge amounts of water. Before, he would have had to invest in infrastructure. He would have had to take his money and invest in infrastructure and build a facility to purify and deliver water. And that would have both increased his property value and taxes, and it would have cost him money. But if you're the city can say, you know what? We need to build some infrastructure. We're going to tax Starbase and each of the employees for this infrastructure. Well, that's a tax deduction now. SALT taxes, state and local taxes, are a tax deduction off your federal taxes. Are you following me here? What was an expense to build facilities and considered, an asset driving your taxes up, are now a city government building your facilities, and the money you spend to do it is a massive tax deduction because it's SALT taxes. And you don't have to negotiate with anybody. You can do it any way you want, however you want, because you are the city. Folks, they're not doing the hiding behind the scenes and bribing Republicans anymore. They are evolving into I am the government. The police force in Starbase, Texas, will answer to Elon Musk. He will have his own legitimate, under the collar of law, police force that answers to him. And it's not just that. There's more. Like old Billy Mays from OxyClean used to say, but wait, there's more. Wayne, thanks for the support. I appreciate you. Elon Musk got his. Okay? We made Elon Musk in an environment where no other car manufacturer wanted to manufacture EVs. And the oil companies were fighting it. We made Elon Musk. We gave him free money. We gave him tax credits, environmental tax credits to sell. We gave a tax credit on every electric vehicle. We gave a tax credit for solar panels. So if you're Tesla, when he built his company, he did it with our help. We made it possible because without us and everything we gave Tesla, it went bankrupt in its infancy. Marie Crabtree, I'm so happy you and Mrs. Paul are back. Thank you. That is a huge donation, Ms. Crabtree. Thank you. I really appreciate you. $75 is a lot of money. I really am grateful. I'm very humbled by that. Guess what goes away in this tax bill? Most of that stuff. The EV credit, it's only for companies that are producing less than 200,000 cars a year. Well, Elon Musk doesn't care about a small company. Even Elon Musk isn't even looking at Rivian. He doesn't consider them a threat at all. But GM and Ford and everybody with means to actually be a serious competitor for Elon Musk, well, he's got the federal government making sure BYD can't sell cars here. And he's made sure to slam that door behind him so no other company, GM made 189,000 cars in 2024. They were planning on building 300,000 in 2026 because they are garnering a larger and larger share of the market. They're the ones eating away at Elon Musk. Well, Elon Musk just kicked them in the balls because they're no longer going to get that credit anymore. As they're at the cusp to cross that 200,000 car barrier. So your GM cars next year are not going to have that credit. Jenny Benavides, Starbase will also have a charter school built, which will then take advantage of the newly passed school vouchers. Yes, there are school vouchers in there. We're going to talk about that also. Starbase is on the other side of the border checkpoint and thus could have illegals working and living, possibly even voting. No one's going to be able to check on them. No one, because the state of Texas will not. The state of Texas will let them do anything. And the federal government, their hands are tied unless it's a specific issue. They can't touch it. And now he owns the city. Are you following me here? How far this Broligarchs class war has gone, how far they have gotten. But yeah, Ford, they were planning on going all EV. All of these credits are gone. He's literally used the government to kneecap his competition. He got his and then slammed the door behind him. That's what this bill does. That's what this bill does. It does nothing but serve the Broligarchs. There used to be a $4,000 credit on used EVs, gone. Commercial, this is the other thing. This is the other thing where oil companies got theirs. There used to be a $40,000 credit for a company if you went with clean vehicles, if you went with hybrids or EVs, or this is the one that comes back to Elon Musk. Jeff Compton, here's to your upcoming find out. Yeah. I am super excited about that connection. It'll may take a week or 2 weeks, but we're going to get it. Should be around June. I'm so excited. We're already paid up. We're just waiting to get on the schedule. But yeah, here's where it gets back to, there are charging stations propping up everywhere. Everywhere. They're in car dealerships. Just about every car dealership has a charging station. They're just everywhere. There was a tax credit up to $40,000 that they would get paid. Gone. Well, who owns the largest charging network in the country? Elon Musk. He got his tax credits. His competitors will not. It is a totally different environment for them. That's what this is all about, folks. That's what this is all about. There is no upward mobility if you can't do what Elon Musk did. And Elon Musk got a huge handout from us to make it happen. It wasn't bootstraps. It was us and our tax money pulling him up, saying, yes, spend our tax money that didn't go to our schools, that didn't go to anything that we would want it spent on, high-speed rail or anything like that. It went to Elon Musk and people like him. But wait, there's more. This whole tariff boondoggle thing, not only is it to take and put taxes from the Broligarchs onto you, because remember, they say, well, we're negotiating these, and Wall Street says, yay, but they never negotiate them away. There's always some tariff left there so that you're paying the taxes, not the Broligarchs. Well, while they're doing these negotiations, the Washington Post and their reporters got sent a bunch of internal government communications from the State Department. And what they show is that Marco Rubio is pushing all of their diplomats to try to get foreign governments to approve Starlink and their permits and everything that Elon Musk wants to operate in their countries, pardon me. Our government is acting on behalf of Starlink. And there's no direct demand. We're going to slap tariffs on you or approve Starlink, and we'll roll those tariffs back to a lower number. It's just presented at the same time. Oh, we're going to slap a tariff on you, says Donald Trump and the Commerce Department. And then the State Department says, oh, you know what would be really nice is if you approve these permits that Elon Musk has been wanting to operate in your country. And boy, howdy, countries like India were like, oh, they got the message clear. Speaking on the conditions of anonymity, a couple of them said, look, this was just a straight up quid pro quo. A couple of their government officials have been talking to the Post, and they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, folks, this is really simple. The Broligarchs, they aren't hiding anymore. They aren't. They're out in the open. They think they have enough stupid people in MAGA, and they've got us manipulated with their clickbait troll farms to keep forming these circular firing squads that they think they got this. They do. They think they've got this. There are no more third rails. They're going to touch the third rails. They're going to tap dance on the third rails. They're going to straight up 100% whip their willies out and pee on the third rails. And they think they've got the system set up with the corporate media being bent over, the social media right-wing people that are more than willing for a pittance. You couldn't get me to sell my kid's future out for $1 million. You couldn't. I would not do it. But you've got people on the right wing that are more than willing. They've been busted taking money from Russia. They've been completely outed, being paid, $100,000 per live like this. So what do we do? You can't rely on the corporate media. You can't. You've got to stick to independent media. And you've got to put an end to these. I'm going to beat this horse one more time. Cecile Kazemi. No wonder Elon is quiet. He is dialed in worldwide thanks to the regime. Yeah, You bring up Elon Musk again? I'll tell you what you do about Elon Musk. End him. End him. Make doing Elon Musk a capital, a fireable offense in your life. Oh, wait a minute. You use Starlink? Get the fuck out of my house. Oh, wait. Is that a Tesla in the driveway? Get the fuck out of my house. Make anybody that gives Elon Musk $1 a complete and utter pariah. End him. Use the power you got while you still got that power. Use your grandma power. Get a hold of your grandkids. You watching that MMA bullshit? I was watching Dana White, the guy, the MMA guy, was just having. If you hate somebody for the way they voted, I don't even want to know you. You're a bad person. I don't want to know you. No, I didn't hate you for the way you voted. I hate you for having the morals and the bad character and the hate for our country to actually put this scam artist, greedy fuck, back in the White House. That's why I hate you. What your vote did to my kids. That's why I hate you. So I agree with you. Get the fuck out and stay out forever. Exactly. It's what allowed you to vote that way. Michael Z, thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting the show. Glad to be back, Carl Rossi. Glad to be back. Look, I'm going to say it all one more time. It's the same thing I always say. You have to spread this information. You have to bring more people here because we're going to talk about issue after issue. We're going to talk about what the plans are, what they're doing, what the political manipulation is, so that people understand when they see it. Oh yeah, Texas Paul said they were going to try to blame Medicare on, illegal immigrant transgender people. Thank you, Laura Whiteside, new supporter. Thanks for always being here. Liberation Day was about the rich being liberated from progressive taxes and the IRS, from having to hide who they are and what they're doing. That was what Liberation Day was, to come out into the sunshine and do it. It's akin to when the Klan, way back in the days, took their hoods off and walked around in their robes with no hoods on. That's what their Liberation Day was. But what do? Get involved with your local Democratic Party. End circular firing squads in their infancy. The minute you see somebody post, oh, but the Democrats, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear about Democrats. I'm focused on what Republicans are doing. I'm voting Democrat no matter what. There's a thing called bandwagon effect. If you will say it, other people will say it. If you will do it, other people will do it. That's why it's so important that we're all here having this conversation. There's so many people that were thinking the things that I say, but wouldn't say them out loud. I give people permission to say it out loud. This is what we have to do. People keep telling me, oh, but Paul, what do we do? Well, let me tell you, nothing today will change anything. Everything you're doing is for tomorrow and the midterms. To change things today, that was November's vote. And we fucked that up. That was November's vote. You can protest, you can motivate, you can yell, you can scream, you can flip your MAGA neighbor off, you can do all of that. Great. But to really change things, that's the midterms. And people are like, well, I don't like Chuck Schumer. Fine. Fine. We don't have a leadership election until after the midterms. And by the way, Schumer said he's not going to run for leadership in the next election. So there's that too. No more circular firing squads. None. Lori Yates, sure did miss you. Straight to the point talk. I missed you people too. I really did. I miss you folks a lot. People keep saying, what do we do? What do we do? Understand. Call their offices and say, I see you. I see what you're doing to Medicare. I understand sequestration. I understand that you're doing this on purpose. I saw you pass the bill in 2023 to trigger this, that triggers sequestration. It was you. You did it. I see that you did it. And I guarantee you, when that light comes on, they will scatter like cockroaches. They will scatter like cockroaches. That's what you can do right now. But as far as changing the arc of this country, putting things back, dealing with the fiscal problems that we've got coming, where our government worries about you and grandma and the people instead of just a handful of Broligarchs, because you see what they're doing with this bill, right? I mean, that's been the purpose of this whole show. You see what they're doing with this bill, right? The only way we change that is the midterms. And I mean in the reddest of red districts. You make them pay. You get people to vote. You use your grandma power. Extort your little ass grandkids if you have to. You are 18 years old now, buddy. If you vote for a Republican, I will dis-fucking own you. There will be no seat for you at Thanksgiving. Whatever it takes. They're afraid of that. That's why Danny White was out there whining, oh, you're going to hate somebody for the way they vote. You goddamn right I am. And I don't care if you're my kin or not. We're not doing this anymore. It's the country at stake, you jackass. E.T., can we have a show of coffee for those that have been calling your reps, etc.? Yeah. Amen, we can. Amen. Yvette Satterwhite, good to see you back. Thank you. Thank you for your time and dedication. I get what you meant there. People think I have a terrible time reading, but I don't. I'm just trying to figure out to straightening out the typos for you is what I'm doing. So that's what I've got for you today. It's good to be back. I've missed you people. I really have missed you people. I've got to go take care of Mrs. Texas Paul. Can you believe that she brought me coffee during the show? As much pain as she is in, she comes in here on crutches, carrying a cup of coffee with a crutch. That is just mind-blowing to me. Just mind-blowing. I love her so much. I got to go take care of her. But yeah, folks, and I've got to go fix Facebook. We lost our Facebook people about 2/3 of the way in. Apparently, Facebook wants me to prove that I'm actually human. They make me do that every once in a while. They've never done it in a show before, but hey, here we are. Love you, folks. Oh, yeah. Somebody sent a question in, and I wanted to address it before we go. Last thing. It was about Cory Booker voting for Charles Kushner. Where do you make Cory Booker pay for that? Because that was fucking stupid. He sits there and he earns all of this goodwill and support with his filibuster. And then he burns it all by voting for Charles Kushner. And I guarantee you there was some deal made somewhere that we don't know about. And no, primarying him is not the answer. It's not. It's really not. Cory Booker is one of our stronger Democrats. If you primary him, you make the party weaker. You just make sure that he doesn't get that next leadership post he wants. You call your reps and you go after them during the leadership elections. Call his office now. Call his office now and let them know, hey, I saw that. I saw what you did. But again, this goes back to the circular firing squad thing. I'm in touch with these people, and I don't know every deal that's going on. I don't know what Cory Booker got for that vote. I don't know the strategy behind it. I don't know if they've decided, you know what? The Republicans want to do this because Cory Booker didn't nominate him to be the ambassador. Trump did. Trump's ambassador is now a guy that was a convicted felon that had gone to prison, that is his son-in-law's father. He pardoned him and gave him the ambassadorship to France, and now Trump owns it all. But those click farms are going to make it seem as though Cory Booker did. Cory Booker nominated him. Cory Booker was responsible for all of this. No, he wasn't. He was one vote out of 100. He was one vote out of 100. Not a good thing. Definitely not a good look. Definitely burned all of his goodwill. Let him know that. Let him know that. But do not set the party on fire because of it. Big picture, folks. Big picture. I am really okay with a Democratic Party that gives me 90% of what I want versus a Republican Party that ends my country for my children and my grandchildren. It's a different time. It really is. Just a different time. I hate to say it, but we got to be goose stepping. We do. We don't have to like it all. We don't. I mean, I'm mind blown. Cory, call me and explain this to me, please. Please have somebody, I know you're busy, have somebody in your office call me and explain what the fuck was that all about. Because I got nothing, man. And I defend Democrats harder than anybody. Anyways, I love you folks. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.